Hey, what's up, my comic book aficionados? Today I'm gonna be hitting you with another comic book review. Today we're gonna be reviewing Pathfinder. Now, this originally was a card game, I believe. So, like your Dungeons and Dragons, your World of Warhammer, those board games and all that. So, these characters, if you play that card game, you're gonna be a lot more familiar with them than I am. I don't play the game, so I'm not familiar with the characters. But I am a fan of sword and sorcery, so I saw this and it was written by Jim Sub. Thought, you know what? Let's go ahead and pick it up and give it a try. This was released back in 2013. So let's first let me introduce you to the characters. I have 6 people in the team. You have 3 women, 3 guys, and they all have like different powers and different they're kind of like different races. So kudos for that. They try to diversify the group, give you a quick rundown of each character and what their thing is. You have Valeros. He's a human and he's like your Conan type character. He's your muscle, swings around a big sword. Then you have Merisiel. She's an elf. She's also like your muscle, but she fights with daggers, so she's like speed. She fights with speed like a ninja would, more cunning. Then you have Shani. She's your sorceress. She looks a lot like Marisol. I wish they would have at least made her hair color different so you don't confuse the two. Then you have Ezren. He's your old wizard. So you got an older guy on the team. Him and the other character is Harsk. He's a dwarf. He's also like an older guy on the team, and he's like your park ranger. He's think of him as your Google Maps. He gets you around area to area, make sure you don't get lost. And last but not least is Kyra. She's kind of like your preacher, your spiritual healer, and she brings like religion and stuff like that to the table. I believe she's like Persian, at least the way she's dressed. She gives off some type of like Middle Eastern vibe. So that's your team. They all have different powers, different skill sets, and they all try to bring something different to the table. All right, so let's get to the story. You could just read along with me right here, and once we're done, then we'll get into some final thoughts and kind of review of everything. Okay, so this starts off with Marisol, Shawnee, and Valeros. They're fighting off some goblins. So right away, I didn't like that Shawnee and Marisol had the same color costume and same color hair. Made it hard to distinguish the two, to separate one from the other. Which one had a different hair color or a different color costume. But after a few pages, you start kind of getting to separate the two to recognize one from the other. And when they're fighting these goblins, it turns out some of them have like boils and stuff like that. They have some type of disease. So this is immediately surprising to our heroes right here. It's like, hey, what's going on here? Is there a plague or it asks questions. One of the goblins, one of the dead bodies, they throw it in a sack and take it with them to their old pal Ezren, being the wizard. So here we get introduced for the first time to Ezren and Harsk, the dwarf. 2 old timers right there hanging out together. They bring them this goblin. They say, "What do you think this means?" They see the boils on them. They go, "Can't mean anything good." So they want to get to the bottom of it. They go, "Luckily, goblins are easy to track. They leave their trail. They don't hide their tracks, right?" And him being Google Maps, basically, right? He knows the lay of the land. He knows how to track people down. They find out this interesting discovery when they follow the goblins. You see these other dark sorcerers, like evil wizards, giving the goblins some type of weird liquid, and that's why they got all these boils and stuff. But once they give them this liquid, I guess it makes them stronger, but it also makes them like they can control them once they do this, right? To have them do their evil deeds. So it's like, what are these wizards up to? Those are listening to these wizards, see what their plan is, and Valeros immediately he's like, we gotta stop them. He runs headfirst without no game plan, no strategy, and just starts fighting these wizards and goblins, and I think there was even some minotaurs right here in this scene. The art here, I like the way they move they do the action scenes. They look pretty dynamic and exciting. So when they're fighting right here, the rest of the team has to go back his play because he already made the decision for them, right? So they all go, they're outnumbered, but luckily with the sorcerers on the team, they managed to get the victory, and but the wizards get away. But there was 3 wizards, 2 get away, they capture one, and he says, it's all right, it wasn't a total loss, we got one, and he's gonna answer our questions. Here we immediately establish that Valeros is the hothead on the team. He's your loose cannonball, kind of like your Wolverine on X-Men or your Raphael on Ninja Turtles. So think of him that way. He takes action before he doesn't think things through, right? And they're kind of chewing him out about what the hell were you doing? We could have easily, this could have gone wrong. One of us could have died or something because we were outnumbered. We needed a strategy first. And he needs to think about this for next time, that this doesn't always work, his whole shootout thing. But luckily, we have this prisoner. We're interrogating him and we're taking him with us to our journey while we track down these goblins. He doesn't give them info on what it is they're doing, but slowly he starts giving them little hints and they kind of figure out the rest. And then we jump to the goblins and the wizards, and we see Lady Etanya. She's this woman and she's pregnant, but she looks gross. Turns out she's feeding on the souls of these goblins. She kind of feeds on their essence and it gives her power. Her belly grows bigger, meaning the child inside is gonna be bigger. She's giving birth to something wicked, I'll tell you that much. It's just gonna get bigger. The bigger her belly gets, that means the bigger the creature's gonna be. And it's gonna be like a evil demon, right? The next issue, we get introduced to some new villains. These are called ghouls. They're kind of like the Walking Dead. If they touch you, you freeze up, or they can turn you into a ghoul themselves. This issue was kind of filler. It's just pure action. It was basically like a power flex to show you how Seoni, she's a sorceress. She takes out a grip of them with her power. And then it shows you Kyra. She does her praying thing and whatnot and destroys a bunch of them as well. So this issue just kind of establishes how they're the two more powerful characters in the team because they have magical powers, right? And it was weird to me that Kyra had these powers. I thought she was like a healer, but I guess she's more than just a healer. She also has some type of like more magical powers than we think. It's not just healing. She can do other stuff. These dark wizards, they're talking about how it's easy to manipulate these goblins and get them to do what they want. Like, oh, that's why they were so willing to take this liquid and so forth. And they're making fun of how that supposedly they don't have the highest of IQs, right? So then it shows us this little short story that it says it wasn't released in singles. It's just exclusive to this paperback edition. So on this little short story, it shows one of the goblins before they get the boils and are taking this liquid. Basically, before they get brainwashed, he's following the dwarf, the elf, the human, and the sorcerers, and they're talking about nobody likes goblins and they're so violent, and that's how they try to solve everything, right? So they're basically saying how they don't need them in society and whatnot, how they'll never evolve. And this goblin hears this and he gets pissed off. He runs trying to kill them, and he trips and crashes on a tree by himself. So they all look at him and laugh. They're like they just go like that, right? And that's like a little short story. It ends there. So that happens. These heroes continue on their journey, and now they encounter another villain, which are these large spiders. This time, they won't be so lucky. They lose this battle. They get caught in webs and so forth. And the evil wizards have them, right? So they capture the whole squad except for Merisiel, the elf with the daggers. She escapes, so she's gonna have to, obviously she's gonna be the one that frees everybody one by one. Merisiel is freeing our heroes one by one, because elves, they're so, at least in the fantasy world, that's the rep they get. So anyways, she's freeing everybody, but as this is going down, Lady Etanya, her stomach just blows up, and she gives birth, because it keeps getting bigger, right? And it just pops. She gives birth to the huge beast, like he's something wicked. So when you see him, you're like, shit, like our heroes are in for a long one. So we got the whole team together, and they're fighting this beast, and they give each character a cool action moment, like where they all deliver a vicious blow. But at the end of the day, Valeros lands the kiss of death, if you will, drops the beast. And they point out how, look, all the characters are cool. Like, they all got a cool moment where they're fighting the beast and landing like a wicked fight scene, right? So last panel here, we see they're popping the bubbly and making a toast to his ghost. They got rid of this big demon and whatnot, saved the world, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they're partying, celebrating. The issue pretty much ends there, the story arc. And now let's get to what we think about it. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Okay, here is the first story arc, so you gotta be patient with the characters and so forth, because I'm character driven. I'm into what the characters bring to the table and so forth. And you didn't get a lot of that. You got cool moments, cool action scene moments to separate each character's. You get to know each character's powers, fighting styles, and whatnot, right? But we didn't get to know much about their personalities and what their thing is. We did get a little bit of that with Valeros. We found out he's kind of like the Wolverine of the team, but the rest of the characters pretty much all crack jokes and act very similar. So hopefully going forward, we start fleshing them out and separating them from each other. We already separated them as far as fighting skills and superpowers, but now let's separate them on the next volume, hopefully with their personalities. Make them act different from each other, maybe speak a little different from each other, because here they're all very much the same pretty much. Now let's get to the villains. I kind of wish the goblins, they would have given more depth, maybe flesh them out a little more, because they vaguely hinted at some stuff that I found interesting. I wish they would have kind of little delve a little deeper into it, because they were showing how the elves, the dwarves, the humans, they all make fun of them, and even the evil wizards make fun of them. So it shows why they're so eager to be against a lot of these other races, and maybe they should have talked a little bit more about that. So maybe we could sympathize a little bit with them, give them some type of redeeming qualities. They're very one-dimensional, and I thought that was kind of something that was lacking in the story, like the development of the villains themselves. Not just the villains, also the good guys didn't have much character development either. Now, the things I really did like was we get the origin story to each character, so we kind of get what their upbringing was. And then the action scenes, the art really shined on the action scenes and made everybody look badass on the scenes, very energetic. And the costume design, I'm digging the costume designs as well. They all look great. Now the dialogue is something I like the dialogue, but I just wish that not all the characters had the same dialogue. Like I wish they kind of had different. Like when somebody says something and you don't tell me which character is saying it, I wouldn't be able to guess which one said that because they all come off sounding the same. Okay, have you read this before? Let me know in the comment sections what you thought about it, because that's about all I have to say about it. And thanks for taking some time out of your day to check out this video, hear me speak about comics a little. And other than that, I'll just check you guys out next time.